The Bland Lemon. So how did I come up with a cocktail called the Bland Lemon? Well, that was actually pretty easy because there's already an existing cocktail called the Blind Lemon Jefferson, which is named after a blues guitarist and singer from the 1920s, I think, out of Johnson City, Texas. No, Johnson City, Tennessee. Sorry. Why is Tennessee important? Well, because Mr. Bradley Denton prefers Gentleman Jack whiskey, which is a Tennessee whiskey. So there's a Tennessee connection there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And what we use for this cocktail is, since I don't actually stock any Gentleman Jack, I honestly don't have any Tennessee whiskey. I'm sorry, it's horrible. But what we are going to use is a bourbon, and we're going to use a Berkshire bourbon. This is a smoke and peat bourbon, and we're going to use that because, well, Mr. Denton is just smoking on the guitar. So there you go. There's where that comes in. The Blind Lemon Jefferson cocktail has lemon juice in it and has honey syrup in it, and then some bitters. They use orange bitters. It's actually based on an old recipe called the Gold Rush. We're going to swap that out for the citrus component. We're still going to reside with lemon, but instead of using honey syrup, we're going to use a sweetened yuzu puree, which is going to be kind of an interesting citrus component to it, as well as a sweet component. And then we're going to back that up with a Japanese-style bitters, the Iki bitters that I have from Embitterment Bitters. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put this all together in a cocktail shaker. We're going to shake it up, and we will have the Bland Lemon. All right, so we start with our shaker. We need 3/4 of an ounce of yuzu syrup. So I need a cocktail jigger, 1 cocktail jigger. It's appropriate. I'm using a Japanese-style cocktail jigger. How's that? All right, come on. Excuse me a second. Trials of putting your syrup in the fridge. All right, there we go. All right, 3/4 of an ounce. You're going to come out this time, right? Yes, there we go. So I need 3/4 of an ounce of the yuzu syrup. Oh, it's so thick. This is going to add such a heavy mouthfeel to this cocktail. It'll be very nice. Okay, so there's 3/4 of an ounce of the yuzu syrup, which is essentially a sugar syrup with yuzu puree in it. I bought mine from Monin, so you can get it online if you want. It's really actually quite tasty stuff. 3/4 of an ounce lemon juice. This is freshly squeezed lemon juice just a few minutes ago. Please don't use concentrate. It's nasty. So there's 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. And then we need 2 ounces of bourbon. Like I said, we're going to use the Berkshire-smoke and peat bourbon. 2 full ounces of that. Oh, I'm getting kind of low. I'm going to have to visit my mom up in New York and get me some more of this. So there's 2 ounces of that. And then we're going to add some bitters to this. Now, bitters are nothing more than botanical agents and bittering agents thrown into a high-test alcohol. And they just add a depth to the cocktail. So we're going to go 2 dashes of these Iki bitters. So there's 1, and there's 2. Those will pair really, really nicely with the yuzu. Next, we're going to throw some ice in here and shake this up. Fill that. Scoop this back in. Seal this. And get ready to shake. Nice and cold. The canister's real cold. That's what we want. And then we are going to double strain this because the yuzu has some pulp in it and I don't actually want that in the cocktail. So I'm going to grab me a strainer and then I'm going to grab me a second strainer. Ta-da, tea strainer to the rescue. And here we go. Deep citrusy yellow color to this. Just like that. played around with different attempts to garnish this. Turns out, I don't think it actually needs a garnish. I think it's quite tasty as is. So there we go. The bland lemon. Oh, it's tart. It's got that biting tartness from both the yuzu and the lemon. And yet the smoke still comes through from the bourbon. Yeah, that's a fine blues riff right there. So there you go, the bland lemon. James asked me if I would make cocktails for some of the people that you'll be listening to this evening for RoomCon. One of the things that I thought was important, though, was in addition to doing those cocktails for those people, that we should honor somebody that is an unsung hero for RoomCon. And I think that that's Mystie. And so, Mystie Hollaman, this goes out to you. This is a riff on a drink called the Mystique, which I'm just going to call the Mystie. Simple, easy, 3-part drink. We're going to mix this up in a mixing pint. We're going to start with 1 ounce of black currant liqueur. Yes, I'm going to need some more black currant liqueur at some point. 1 ounce black currant liqueur. Right there. That's going to add some deep black, dark, raisiny currant kind of flavors to us, as you would expect. Next up, we're going to go with some Licor 43, Currant y Tres. So this is a wonderful botanical and citrusy spirit, a liqueur that is going to pair very well with the black currant. We're also going to go 1 ounce of that. That's a little scant on that ounce. We're going to add a little bit more. Don't worry about the Licor 43. I got a spare bottle. We're good on that. This is going to be a very spirit-forward cocktail, which I think is befitting for the individual we're talking about. And then last but not least, we're going to go 2 ounces of a blended Scotch. Don't use like your heavily peated eyeless Scotch for this. This would not be workable. So we're going to go with the Dewar's 12-year. Right? We're going to go 2 ounces of that. Nice solid blended Scotch. Great for mixing. There you go. That's it. Those are our 3 ingredients. We're going to throw some ice in here, give this a stir, and then strain that out. And we'll throw one more in there. There you go. Sure, why not? Little death head skull for us. Okay. It's going to go in here. We're going to give this stir for about 20 seconds or so. I'm going to call it quits. Double check that. Oh yeah, that'll work just fine for Mystie. I'm going to put this in a little snifter glass. Use our julep strainer. In that goes deep, rich, reddish brown color. Wouldn't be right if we just left it at that. So let's add a dark, luxurious Luxardo cherry to that. I'm just going to drop that right in there. What do we got on there? Yeah, I don't know. It's going away. And this is the Mystie.
Love you, Mystie.
She's talking about you, not the cocktail.
Right.
She likes the cocktail.
I do like the cocktail.
That's deep and rich and just utterly yummy.
Thanks for doing RoomCon for us.
The Mystie. We will be doing a honey badger. The honey badger cocktail already exists. It's a known canon, but it involves a few things that I don't keep on hand, like yellow chartreuse or fresh sprigs of rosemary. So as a consequence, we're not doing that. We're doing something that is a riff off of the honey badger cocktail, which I'm just going to call the honey badger because I can, right? So we're going to use honey syrup and ginger syrup and lemon. These are all found in the traditional honey honey badger cocktail.
Lime.
That's lime. That's lime. Lemon. See? Swap. Ta-da. There we go. Lemon. We are going to swap out the yellow chartreuse and use Benedictine instead. And because I don't have any fresh rosemary, I needed something that had a rosemary flavor to it. Well, the only thing I happen to have lying around that has rosemary flavor in it is this bottle of tequila that I infused rosemary in some time ago. So that's how we're going to get the rosemary in. And normally this drink would be made with rye, but clearly we're going to make it with tequila instead. So there you go. These are the ingredients for the honey badger cocktail. So this is a shaken cocktail. So we are going to start with 1/3 of an ounce of honey syrup. And let me tell you, 1/3 is a pain in the neck because no jigger is marked with 1/3. So you just kind of have to eyeball it, you know, somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2. There you go. So there's the honey syrup. Next up, ginger syrup. So by the way, honey syrup is just a 2-to-1 mix of honey and water, just so the honey pours better. The ginger syrup is, again, a 2-to-1 mix of sugar and water, but in this case, it is infused with ginger. You slice up a whole bunch of ginger, throw it in there, let it sit for quite a while. Ginger syrup. Also, 1/3 of an ounce of ginger syrup. Now, if you like your honey badgers to be a little more bitey, use a little more ginger syrup. Next up, lemon juice. Double checked it, right? Okay.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Alexa apparently doesn't know that one. 2/3 of an ounce of lemon juice. There we go. And let's see, what's next? The Benedictine. 1/2 ounce. Yay, we're back to standard pours. Cool. 1/2 ounce Benedictine. Not at all like yellow chartreuse, but still a nice mix of botanicals that will go, herbs and botanicals that will go really well with this. Actually, I was totally surprised when I put this together how well it matched with the tequila. So 1.5 ounces rosemary infused tequila. Rosemary is a pretty potent flavor, so you don't have to worry too much about the quality of the tequila that is going into this, which is good. If our tequila is a little bitey, all the better for the honey badger. Somewhere around here there's a cap. There it is. And then I needed something to add a little depth of flavor to this. Something that'll grab you and not let go. 1, maybe 2 little drops of absinthe. Bing, bing. We don't want the absinthe to take over. We don't want this to be a licorice or anise flavored drink. We just want there to be a little something sitting there that you're like, what is that funk coming from? Yeah, it's going to be the absinthe. All right. I'm going to throw some ice in here. We're going to mix this up and then serve it. Throwing ice cubes around. There we go. Shake this up. 1 honey badger coming at you. Nice and frosty and cold. I'm going to put this in a nice little ceramic mug. I think that'll work just fine for us. I'm going to strain this strainer. Yeah, I'm going to strain the cup into the glass. No, that's not going to work. All right, here we go. So sometimes you'll see bartenders that will do like a squeeze of lemon peel or something over the cocktail, and that's to infuse it with a little bit of the oils from the rind of the citrus, which is great. And I thought, maybe I should do this with this cocktail. So I tried that, and all I got was lemon and lime from the citrus. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave it exactly as it is. Little ceramic mug. Here's the honey badger coming at you. That is such an odd drink. The ginger hits you with a little bit of bite, and then you're like, what is that smoky, woodsy, oh, that's the rosemary coming through. And yet there's this depth that just won't let go of you, and that's just those couple of drops of the absinthe there. So there you have it, the honey badger. And last but not least, for our special guest this evening, we are doing a Monkey Queen cocktail. So I don't know about you, but monkeys make me think of bananas. So we're gonna have to do something with banana. And what pairs better with banana than rum? And well, I have a lot of rum on hand, so I should use it. So what we're gonna do is a Monkey Queen. So this is a takeoff on a Smuggler's Cove recipe by Martin Cate, a recipe called the Naked Ape. We're just going to make a couple of changes to it, and hopefully this is an enjoyable, yummy, tasty thing. All right, so the Monkey Queen is a blended drink. So we are going to take our spindle blender cup, and first of all, we are going to add a ½ ounce of spiced syrup. So this is spice infused. So there's clove, cardamom, cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, star anise, probably a couple other things in there as well. 2-to-1 syrup. Throw all of those in, let them infuse overnight, and there you go. You've got a nice spice syrup. Martin Cate's recipe calls for a cinnamon syrup. I like my spice syrup, so we're going to use that. So a ½ ounce spice syrup. It's just a little more complex than a just straight up cinnamon syrup. Next up, banana liqueur, also a ½ ounce. And you can use whatever you want here. If you really want to be good, use the Tempus Fugit banana liqueur, or you could use Bananas de Brazil, which would be quite tasty. Or you could go to your back bar and try and use up the last of your DeKuyper, which is what I'm going to do. So we're going to do a ½ ounce of banana liqueur right there. And if that's not, that could be a little bit of like a fat ½ ounce. It doesn't have to be just at a ½ ounce, because you really want to play up the banana flavor in this. We do need a little bit of lemon juice to brighten this up. So lemon juice. Nope, sorry, we're going to use lime juice for this because my lemon juice is back in the fridge. We're going to go a ½ ounce of lime juice for this. It'll be fine. I've had it with both. It'll be fine. What this will do is actually the citrus component will actually play out a little longer on your palate using lime juice than the lemon juice. So I think that'll actually be better. Next up, we need a little sweet rum. When I think sweet rum, I think the house sweet rum, which is Diplomatico Exclusiva Reserva. This is pretty strong on the sweet end of things. It's a nice entry point for high-level rums. It's quite tasty. We're going to go 1.5 ounces of this. So there's 3/4. 3/4. See, even bartenders can do math. There you go, 1.5 ounces. But if I know the person that this cocktail is being named after, you can't get away with just that. You need a little funk. You need a little funk with this. So what better rum than, well, Jamaica's own the funk. So we're going to go a half ounce of the funk in this. The funk. Because we want the funk. Don't ask me to sing. You won't like the results. There we go. So a half ounce of the funk. You don't go any more than a half ounce of the funk because it's funky. And then we're going to go 1 dash of Angostura bitters for this, just to add a little bit more of the bitter component. So we're just going to do a long dash. So it's a jupe. 1 dash. There you go. Now we're going to throw somewhere between 4 and 6 ounces of ice into this. It's going to be crushed ice. That's a little heavy, but I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to toss a couple of bigger ice cubes in there just for a little bit of agitation purposes. There we go. This doesn't need to blend for long. This is going to blend for like 8 seconds, no more, no less, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Monkey Queen is done. All right. Now I'm going to strain this into this guy, but I'm going to decorate this to start with. So monkeys like to climb trees and get coconuts out of them. So here's some coconut cream. And we are going to decorate the inside of this glass with some coconut cream. Yeah, for all you adults out there, I know. I know. Just leave me alone. All right. And then this gets strained in there. We want to keep out, we want the crushed ice to come out, but we want the ice cubes, the big chunks, to stay in. So this is a pretty open gate on this. A little bigger gate, there we go. A little more of that crushed ice. And it's got kind of a tropical vibe going on, so we might as well toss in a couple of pineapple fronds as a garnish. Those guys can go right in there like that. And we need a straw. Sure, how about a straw Thulu from Surfside Sips? Can go right in there. And there you have it. There's the Monkey Queen. Take a sip of that. Oh, that is a lovely mix of rums, and oh yep, there's some banana there. There we go. The Monkey Queen. Fun. While we've been listening to the lovely strains of Bland Lemon Denton, Cary and I have been chatting about what she wants in a cocktail. So we put something together. It turns out she's a fan of the French 75, and so we're going to do a bit of a riff on the French 75 for her, and we're going to call this Cary's 76. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to start with a shaker, shaker top, and then we are going to go with, I need my recipe. That would help. That would help. 3/4 of an ounce of just simple syrup. So this is not infused. This is just a 2-to-1 rich simple syrup. So 3/4 of an ounce. So that's 2 parts sugar, 1 part water. 3/4 of an ounce. And then we need a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. And so far, this looks like the beginnings of a build for a French 75. So 1/2 ounce fresh squeezed lemon juice. Right there. Next up, we need our spirit. And so what kind of spirit are we going to use? Well, French 75 calls for gin, right? That's where you might be wrong. So there's some early records that indicate that some of the earliest French 75s might actually have been made with cognac. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to do 1 ounce of cognac in this. 1 ounce cognac. For those of you that might be wondering, what is this French 75 that you talk about? The French 75 is a cocktail that came out of World War I, was named after the French 75 artillery piece, which was so utterly devastating. And so the drink has a lot of punch to it, packed a lot of punch, and so they named it the French 75. Also, it gets the French 75 moniker because usually this is topped with champagne and, of course, French cognac. The two of those go together and you have the French 75. So what we're going to do is just take those three ingredients and we are going to shake them up with some ice. There's some ice. There's some more ice. I'm going to call that good. Now, the little secret ingredient that I didn't tell Cary when I was making this was I was going to add 1 bar spoon of green chartreuse to this. And this will give it a nice vibrant color and adds just a little bit of a botanical component to it, herbal component. Not a flowery component, an herbal component. There we go. Okay, so we're going to shake this up. And so far, this is just a French 75 with a dash of chartreuse added to it, but it's a French 75 made with cognac instead of gin. All right, there we go. Now we have just created a whole bunch of I was going to say glass shards, ice shards in this cocktail, and we don't want those in the final drink. So we're actually going to double strain this into a glass. Now the French 75 is traditionally served in a champagne flute, but it turns out that Cary's a big fan of octopus, octopi, octopuses. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of my favorite glassware. So this is sort of a martini glass, but it's got tentacles on it. So this one goes out to you. I'm going to set that right there. We're going to double strain this. If I can find my strainers. Oh. Yeah, my jellyfish are kind of in the way, but that's all right. It'll all be fine. So we're going to strain this in. And then we are going to top this off. Normally with a French 75, you would be topping it off with champagne, but sometimes the bubbles can be a little aggressive with champagne. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use a light effervescent wine, not at all similar to champagne. This is a Vino Verde, so it is out of Portugal, and this is Gateio, which means cat in Portuguese. And, well, it turns out Cary's a big fan of cats, so that works out well as well. So we're just going to top this off, just like that, all the way up to the wash line. There we go. And for the garnish, we're just going to do a little twist of lemon. We're just going to hang that right off the edge, just like that. And it should look remarkably similar to this one, which has settled just a bit. So Cary, this is to you. This is your cocktail, which is dripping all over my bar mat, the Cary 76. I think that works. I think we're good.